This is Silver Fantasy Cosplay from Jamaica, and you're watching Cosplayers Connected. So I've been cosplaying for about 5 years now. I started back in 2013 with my first cosplay being Videl Satan from Dragon Ball Z. That was done at an event called Anime Nation here in Jamaica. It used to be run in the earlier days of cosplay here by JA Cosplayers, and it was the second time I was attending the event. And it was awesome to say the least, because there wasn't that many anime events in Jamaica at the time, and there still isn't as much per se. But to see other people who have similar interests as me, which was anime, and then see people in costume enjoying and doing what they love, it was an amazing experience back then. When I first went to Anime Nation, which was the year before that, 2012 I believe, I was a random schoolgirl 2.0. That's what I call myself, random schoolgirl 2.0. I had put on a short black skirt with one of my school blouses, which was white, and I borrowed my dad's red tie, and I had a red bandeau and high socks, boots I think it was, and a Naruto messenger bag, and my hair was in too, so that was my outfit for the night. And I had never known about cosplay, even though I was up neck deep in anime. I'd never known that cosplay was a thing. And so when I went to this event with a friend of mine, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, people do these things? I didn't know that you could, well, this is kind of contradictory, but I didn't know you could, play dress up outside of Halloween. Yeah, but I was very surprised and very intrigued by all of the cosplayers that were at the event. I remember I saw this girl, I think her name was Sheree at the time. I think her name was Sheree, and she had on, I think it was Bridget. Anyways, she had on the cosplay with like a huge gray chain or whatever around her waist, and it was like a red dress, and she had a large yo-yo, and I just loved it. And I wanted to get into it from I saw her and other people who were dressed up as well. And I ended up in the costume competition as well, but I just ran up there and just like waved and came off, right? Anyways, for the event where I did my first cosplay, I remember I had done the costume in about 3 days prior to the event. I remember I borrowed well, not really borrowed, I took one of my dad's white t-shirts and I made the button, put my hair in two, I made the gold hair pieces, and I wore black tights, and I used football socks, purple ones, to create the long socks. And then I had green boot covers that I had taped on. My grandmother helped me to make the boot covers, and she knew how to sew, and she still does, but she's never done anything like this before, so the two of us were like a fish out of water. And she ended up making gloves for me as well, fingerless gloves. But as soon as I reached there, people had recognized the character, and in fact, there was a Saiyaman, her love interest, in the show, so that was pretty cool as well. I remember I actually got a group of people that I had only just met, a group of guys, to lift me up onto the stage. And so I was flying onto the stage. The guys are holding me up, and I got onto the stage and probably did a few poses, and then Saiyaman came and helped me in my performance. And yeah, since then it's just been costume after costume at all sorts of different events. I have done about a dozen cosplays so far, both either made by me or commissioned, or maybe I bought some pieces and then made a couple of the accessories. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what I usually do with the outfits. I like to make them now, but when I just started out, I may have bought a couple of things and made some, or since I didn't have any complex background in sewing, I had gotten a local dressmaker to make the more complex pieces. Like, for example, for my Sweet 16, I had gotten Hatsune Miku, commissioned by this lady for the party, and I ended up using that cosplay over and over and over, and eventually got her wig and did a couple more accessories, made her leak, and yeah. Other than that, I have one more another commission piece that's Lena Lee from the Greyman. Since then, I have tried to improve on whatever sewing skills or armor making skills that I have, or I'm trying to learn new things so that I can produce better work. Yeah. Being a cosplayer from Jamaica, it can be difficult at times. In recent years, it's been easier to access certain materials, like Mod Podges here now, and things like that. However, there aren't that many craft stores in Jamaica. There are more fabric stores maybe, but in terms of genuine like craft stores and things where you can get things like EVA, different grades of EVA foam, and where you can get, you can't get Warbler here, you have no thermoplastics. In general, the variety and availability of materials here is not that good. And on top of that, even if there are materials here, most of the time they're overpriced, especially if it's fabric and those things, then it's not necessarily. That is fairly reasonable in a sense. But if you want to get like the proper colorful wigs, lenses, as I said, craft material stuff, especially armor making, it can be a bit tricky, especially if you want the nicer brands, or the things that typical cosplayers use. It's hard to find, and on top of it, it's expensive. If you consider the exchange rate between the US and Jamaica being at 125 to 130 average, and that's not a stable dollar either, it's usually moving, getting materials even online is an issue because you're gonna be paying a lot more than you can probably afford. And I know a lot of Jamaicans can't necessarily afford to cosplay the way they want to necessarily because of the cost of items and maybe the cost of bringing things in and all of that. We usually make it work though. We do have those cosplayers here who get pretty inventive with what they decide to do, whether it's they make something look amazing with cardboard or with chipboard. I've seen people do things with chipboard and spray foam and LEDs and making large guns and even making motorized guns. I've seen a cosplay Jinx here, a male cosplay as like gender bent Jinx, and he had hit the gun. One of the guns he had was actually not working, but like rotating and like plugged in and everything. So the cosplayers here have a lot of potential. It's just a matter of getting the materials needed and having them be more affordable and more accessible. That's about it. Jamaicans here there's a lot of talent, and I can see the cosplay scene here growing year after year. Certain things that weren't available here when I just started out. I had to think about ordering Mod Podge back then. Now it's in stores. It's a bit expensive, but it's in stores. There's certain things that you can get now that you couldn't get before. And on top of that, there is not just one cosplay group. There's like maybe 3 or so. There used to be just JA Cosplayers, and now there is Anime Nerds of Jamaica. JA Cosplayers is still here, but it's fairly dormant. There is also Jamaica Cosplay Club, and even in terms of events, Anime Nerds of Jamaica has been putting on more than one event, like multiple events throughout the year. Whether it's like an anime picnic, as they call it, or Maid Cafe, a Maid and Butler Cafe. And then we have Jamaica Cosplay Club coming in with the photo shoot they had last year, the party they had the other day, and now this summer they're having the convention called Anime Con, which I'm hoping is going to be awesome. There are actually 3 events this summer. It's Anime Con, Anime Picnic 7.0, yes, 7.0, as you can see, they've had a few events, Animators of Jamaica, and also an event called Fantasy Beat put on by a local cosplayer by the name Sing Cosplay. She's actually a good friend of mine from back in the day. And yeah, the cosplay scene is definitely growing here in Jamaica. And on top of that, the people in the corporate world are noticing as well, because there was a conference the other day, DSBCon, and they had hired cosplayers to be at the event. They paid cosplayers to be there and to greet the guests and be there for the gaming tournament. So there are opportunities showing up more and more for local cosplayers, and I'm very excited to see what cosplayers can achieve here in Jamaica from this point forward, and also where it gets to in the near future. Alright, next thing is my top 5 cosplays. It's a bit tricky to choose because a lot of the newer ones I would probably have maybe a top 6 instead of a top 5. But anyways, top 5 cosplays. The list, I'm gonna list them out so far, is Celestine Soraka from League of Legends, Meiko, that's from Vocaloid, and that's her in her Senbon Sakura outfit with the long kimono sleeves. The next one would be Hatsune Miku, that's the commissioned piece. Next would be Lifa. That was the first first cosplay I made entirely from scratch or on my own. The next one after that, it's a little tricky to decide, but I think is gonna be Illumi, as in Illumi Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter, however people want to pronounce it. People always have arguments over the name of that show. But yeah. Um, for Soraka now, the reason why she's at the top is because she is the most complex piece that I've ever done. That involved a lot of armor making and more complex prop making and design. I had never worked with a proper sheet of. I've used EVA foam before, but only like the thin craft foam sheets. So getting a proper grade of thick grade of EVA foam, and then getting a heat gun, Dremel, all the power tools, and using all sorts of materials and experimenting in ways that I've never done before with my father helping along. Definitely a huge challenge, but it turned out good in the end. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at silva_n3ko, that's Silva Neko. And from there you can get to my Facebook page, and that is facebook.com/silvafantasycosplay. Coming up, I will be doing about 3 projects this summer. That's including this one. For all 3 different events, so you can check those out on on all of my accounts. So yes, thank you so much. Bye.